I am David Herman, and this is the Dental Marketing Drill, the podcast about what actually drives new patient growth in dental practices. Marketing, sales, and operations, from starting the chase to closing the case. Let's drill in. Thanks for joining us again for the next episode in our podcast series. This one is to do with SEO, and this young man here, Sam, is actually our head of SEO. He runs all of the SEO for our clients, and I asked him here today so we could maybe dispel a few myths, talk about some basics, and then maybe also, in a very exciting part of it, talk about some of the things that are at the cutting edge for those of you that are a bit more advanced. So we're going to do all of those things, and Sam, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you for the introduction. I actually happened to meet David about 3 years ago, and he has been a great mentor, one of the best bosses that I worked under, and really I've learned a lot from David. I think in the last 3 years, my learnings have been so immense because David comes with about 2 decades of experience in dental marketing, and I just love the team as well. So thank you, David, for having me on the team.
Yeah, no, thank you for transforming our capabilities in SEO. So I guess the first thing that I wanted to show is this particular screenshot. You can tell it's an old one. It's basically the same. It's an old one because it's an old iPhone with that button at the bottom. So one of the things that's great about this is it clearly differentiates the different sections. On the top are 2 ads, right? You have to pay for those, right? You pay for those. I put $5 per click. That's another way you can tell this is an old image. It's maybe not $5 anymore, closer to $10 maybe, especially for dental implants, very competitive keyword. And then
Correct.
Right below it is what we call, and again, we've got so many names for it, Google My Business, GMB, GBP, Google Business Profile, the 3-pack. It's usually 3. Sometimes it's 4 if there's a sponsored ad in there. Google Map listings. I mean, everybody's seen it, but it's difficult to know what to call it. But those are the things we call it. And then at the bottom is what used to be in the old days SEO search results, right? That your organic search results that are like classic, right? Before maps started, which is really important for a local business, we had these search results, which as you scroll down, they just go on forever, right? There's like, 2.5 million results.
Correct.
So I just wanted to set that out. And we are basically going to be talking about mainly SEO 1 on that slide, right? Which is the map pack, but also, I guess, a little bit SEO 2, right? Which
Correct.
is the organic search results. Can you just explain maybe for a dentist that doesn't know anything about SEO, like why those areas are important and why we've been successful?
Right. So first of all, this is definitely an old layout for the anatomy of a typical search results page in 2025. The reason why I say that is because, the AI search overview is actually missing. The AI overview is not there. But any which ways, the map pack definitely holds a very good share of the first fold of the search result that you see. And SEO 1 over here is basically GBPs of these dental practices, and we call them as map pack. And in this particular example, Bal Harbor Smiles is located at position 1. Dental Implants Miami is located at number 2. And then Dr. Eddie is positioned at number 3. Now, why is Google Map listings or the 3-pack really important? Because we, as a patient who's tentatively looking for a dental procedure, would probably look for a dentist, close to where we live, right? Where we are. And which is why we happen to look for our comfort, and that is look for dental offices in our vicinity. And the best place to look for any dental office in vicinity is Google Maps or Google or maybe even Apple Maps. So you go to Google, you go there, you put in your keyword, which is 9 out of 10 is dentist or cosmetic dentist or emergency dentist. And, there you go. You've got these map pack listings, which tell you if the clinic is actually open, how is that particular clinic reputed? I mean, how many stars has it got out of 5? And then how far is that place from where you are searching from? So all this data combined give you enough information for you to take a decision and happen to choose the best dentist for your needs.
Yeah.
So, which is why, this is really important. And then, if you're searching for, if you're looking for more information, like, you're looking for a very high ticket procedure like dental implants, or you want to get a permanent teeth whitening done or a permanent veneer, you probably want to look at more details in there, like, what are my options? What is the cost like? What are the credentials of the doctor who's going to take care of the procedure? So you happen to go for organic search results and you happen to click on a listing, which is probably, 1, 2, 3. And yeah, that's how you decide. So which is why, SEO 1 and SEO 2 are really, really important for one's decision making.
And just from a financial point of view as well, on the left, we show that even though you're paying on the top, right? You're paying for the click. When you have position in the organic results, when you get a click, you're not paying anything to Google. Google is putting you there because it's the best result for that particular search. So it's like, these are the free clicks. That's what a lot of my clients call it. We want to be stronger in the free click area. So I'm like, this is the free click area, which means you have to pay, they pay us, right? They pay the agency, but they're not paying Google. And usually the way it works on the top when you're doing advertising is you pay us as an agency to do your pay-per-click, the top area here, the ads, you pay us way less than you pay Google, right? Meaning
Right.
I've got clients who are spending $30,000, $40,000 a month on their ads. They're not paying us that. It's not a one-to-one. It's a very tiny percentage of what they actually spend on the media spend, the ad spend. So that's another great thing. That's why people are interested in SEO. We've always been very good at PPC, and we were always kind of nervous a little bit about getting involved with anything to do with SEO because it felt like we couldn't really measure it. But one of the great things that we do now is we actually treat SEO a little bit like we treat PPC, and we actually measure it as a cost per lead, and in some cases we even measure the ROI based on the production if we can get the production numbers from the dentist, from their EagleSoft or Dentrix, which we can actually do programmatically now quite often. So we end up with charts like this one that show that, while the PPC is doing fine, 61 leads, $65 a lead for basically implants and ortho patients. So that's pretty good at $65, with every one of those being a chance for multiple thousands of dollars. Obviously, not everybody closes. But on the SEO side, it just, again, once it's a mature SEO campaign, it just gets crazy stats like, paid $1,000, got 103 leads, $10 a lead, right? And again, we try to balance out. What we're busy trying to do right now is work out, okay, but $10 a lead versus $65 a lead, we actually don't care what the cost of the lead is. What we want to know is the ROI, right? So did $1,000 on SEO get me $10,000 in production, but the $4,000 in PPC actually ended up getting me 40,000, right? So if it was a 10x on the marketing spend, I'm sticking with the PPC anyway. I mean, to be honest, everybody sticks with both once they're doing it. Nobody yet has said the SEO is so good, I'm just going to shut off the PPC. They'll take both, right? I mean,
Right.
it's a numbers business. It's like, I want the volume. So would you rather have 164 leads or just 103? Most people say I'll have the 164. The 61 leads from PPC are a bit more expensive, but I think I'll close them because I know they're all on foreign implants. On the right-hand side, I don't know what those people are coming in for. We do on some clients, and one day we'll go and we'll do an ROI analysis and comparison of PPC versus SEO. I'm sure Sam would be holding the torch for SEO since he doesn't work on the PPC.
Right. There is another advantage with, the combination of PPC plus SEO. So with SEO, there's always a laser targeted focus. Like, you give us a keyword. There are separate keywords that we try to work upon, but, the best strategy is when you're focusing on one. So let's say you're going after one procedure. So all your focus is, let's say, towards bread and butter. You're going after the major keywords, dentist or cosmetic dentist. So, it leaves out opportunities for other procedures like, the orthodontic procedures, all on 6, all on 4, all those high ticket procedures. So PPC comes in there, fills that gap, and, keeps the overall ROI high for any dental practice, when they are pursuing a digital marketing campaign that encompasses both PPC and SEO. So that's the beauty of that combo right there.
Right. And there's definitely a little bit of there's some leakage from pay-per-click that ends up in SEO as well. So it's good to be able to catch everything with the SEO and track it properly. And one of the great things that we do for SEO is on every site that we have, I think almost every site, we have like a phone number for new patients to call and a phone number for existing patients. The existing patient number is just the standard number for the office. The new patient number is a tracking number that then forwards to the office, right? Now, what's the benefit of that? The benefit is how you react to notifications from the new patient versus the existing patient. If an existing patient calls, they will probably 9 times out of 10, they'll leave a voicemail and you can get back to them whenever you want. They're not running off anywhere. Very few existing patients call up saying, if you don't call me back in the next 5 minutes, I'm leaving, I'm out of here. They're committed already to you. So you can get back to them with time. What new patients do is new patients call, they hit the voicemail, they hang up. And guess what they do next? They call other offices. And we know this because we talk to the front desk and say, hey, here's a guy that came in, you missed the call. What happened when you called him back? And they say quite often they'll call back within 2 minutes, too late. Somebody else picked up and they're literally choosing their dentist based on who picked up and booked them first, which is a terrible way to choose your dentist. And we'll get into that. Maybe there's an educational role for marketing at some point to teach people how to choose a dentist. But that is a way that people are making that decision. So that's certainly very fascinating. And it certainly allows people to feel, they know who to call back first, right? If it's a new patient call, they're going to call those people first. Then you call your existing patients. Because the existing patients are usually not in a big rush. So why don't you go ahead and just explain that and then explain what the box does, and then we can go to the next slide, and then the next slide you'll be talking about like transforming that box. It's basically an easy graphic way to show people if they're being successful or not.
Yeah, so what we're seeing over here on the right, this is called a grid scan. A grid scan is typically the rankings of your GBP, Google Business Profile, or Google My Business, whatever you want to call it. But it's actually confusing. And to remove that confusion, let me make that simple for you. So how can you read these rankings on this grid right here? So when you make a search, let's say we searched for this keyword that is Invisalign Toronto, and we've got 3 positions up here. We usually see 3, sometimes 4, and the 4th one is usually an ad, which is at the very top, but then it's followed by 1, 2, and 3. So if you ignore the sponsored listing, so this is position 1, this is position 2, and this is position 3. So this ball right here which says 1, it means that you are position 1. And then this ball right here which says 2, it means that you are position 2. And since this grid size right here is about 6.5 miles from east to west and 6.5 miles from north to south, and this is a 13 by 13 grid. So that means each of these two balls are 0.5 miles apart. So if considering this as the center, we are headed 3.5 to the north and 3.5 to the south. So you can see your rankings, how you rank on a grid scan with this kind of a search grid scan that we can do for you.
So basically, what we're saying is, if you're not 1, 2, or 3, you're not on the first page, right? If you're 1, 2, or 3,
Correct.
you're on the first page, which is what
Correct.
everybody wants. That's the old adage. In fact, I think there are SEO companies call themselves like first page SEO or something. That was always the thing: is be on page 1. And what was the joke? The joke was always, where do you hide
A dead body.
a dead body? Yeah, where do you hide a dead body? On page 2 of the
Correct.
Google search results, because nobody ever
Correct.
goes there, right? We keep perfectly safe.
Correct.
So
But with GBP, there is also another scenario wherein, fourth or fifth could sometimes jump into position 3, depending on the time of the day. And why is that so? That is because, some of the clinics happen to be closed or off hours, which usually are ranking 1, 2, and 3, but the others are open. So anyone who is actually ranking 4 might pop up to the third position if the third one is closed, or the second one happens to be closed, or the first one happens to be closed. So, so times of day are also important, and that can fluctuate your rankings.
right, I have a feeling that when you took this particular screenshot for Invisalign Toronto, very often I see in these two Invisalign Toronto offices that are now position 1 and position 3 are very often 1 and 2. I feel that Forest Hill Orthodontics got a little boost from the fact that it opens soon, right? So you see the open soon label there. Because it opens at 8:30, it was, Google was like, I'll give that as an option just in case they want to get in like right away, right? If being open earlier is more important, you just kind of jumped up a little bit because of that one element. So
Absolutely, absolutely. We actually conducted an in-house experiment wherein we marked some of our dental offices 24/7, and we used AI capabilities to do that. And the result were amazing. We got 25% more new patient leads through SEO that month when we turned on that feature. So
right.
timings are important. It certainly is.
And then the problem, you create another problem potentially, which is 8 o'clock at night. You're saying, 24/7 we're open, and then they call and it goes straight to voicemail. So that becomes an issue that we ended up solving with an AI answering, because the AI answering will answer 24/7. So it's like we are answering 24/7 and then allowing you to book for first thing in the morning, maybe. So that's a way to kind of play with that. But every office needs to decide for themselves if they want to say 24/7, get more volume, but then have to deal with people who maybe are a little annoyed that they can't actually come in right now.
Right, right.
So we play with, we play that game the whole time. So that's totally fascinating. So let's look. I mean, this is a very successful, very big geo. You're talking like 36, 37 miles square, right? It's a very big
Correct,
geo, and you can
correct.
tell that mostly they have market domination for that particular keyword. Why don't we jump to see a few other examples where we can show what a good grid is versus a bad grid? And grids are basically what we look at, right? When we go through this with a client, we're basically saying, here's what we did to your grid for any particular keyword. So,
Right. Yeah, this is a fascinating transformation. And one thing to note here is that it's a 60 days transformation. So you can see that on the left grid scan, it's dated September 1, 2025. And then the right grid scan, which is dated November the 11th. So these are actually 70 days apart, but you can look at the transformation.
yeah. So, so the key thing to understand is, whereas you might think that red is good because it's hot, here it's bad. It's danger, right? Here it's danger. You are not showing. So green is for go in this particular situation. You want more green. You want less yellow, amber, pink, red, right? As it gets more red, it's worse. So once you know that, you'll be able to see that this is definitely working the right way around. And the numbers are very clear as well. I mean, it's the vast majority there are number one. And we even have the aggregate position goes up from position 12 to position 2.2. So basically 2. Goes from 12 to 2. You jump 10 places in 60 days, which I can tell you makes a massive difference to the volume of calls that are coming through, even though we're not looking at that right now. And we'll get to that at some point. We'll start to look at those numbers and start to kind of quantify this. But this is exactly what you want to see. So let's have a look at another one. Do we have a few more?
Yep, we've got a lot more. So this one is for veneers. And one thing to note here is that the grid size is not as large as the initial example that we saw. But this one is 1.3 into 1.3 miles. So that means each of these two balls are like 0.1 miles apart. And we have 0.6 miles to the north and 0.7 miles to the south. So that's how we center it.
And just to disturb you for 1 second, just to know, this is LA. It's in the valley. So, I mean, LA and the whole of LA is probably, ground zero for dental veneer levels of interest. Like, it is the most demanding area in the country for veneers. So having this kind of a position for veneers in this market not only is very valuable, but also everybody's trying to do it, because every dentist knows that in LA you get 10 times more veneers than you would if you were in Memphis, Tennessee, let's say.
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's an amazing transformation in 90 days.
Then we have got this one for single implants. And this dentist right here was nowhere to be found for single implants.
Yeah.
And
so it says 20. It says 20 because we only go to the 20th listing. We don't go any further because it's already so low that if he's 20th or 30th or 50th, he's just as invisible as he is at 20, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So this actually says 20 plus. So so there were practically no rankings at all for this client, and then it was a complete makeover.
Right.
And let's look at some more. Okay, so this one's for a dental practice in Houston, and we all know Houston. It's such densely populated, and this is 5th of Jan, and this is 4th of August. So this was a difficult place, so it definitely took some time, but the transformation is amazing. Okay, so we have got emergency dentistry scan over here, and yeah, it's a similar case that we looked at previously. The client was nowhere to be found. His listing was ranking nowhere. Again, we see 20 plus. That means it was not in the top 5 pages for sure. He was beyond those positions, beyond 20 positions. And over here, you could see it's a transformation that took about 10 months of time. but totally worth it because, we're looking at such a high potential keyword, emergency dentistry. It holds such value and it drives a lot of patients. I don't need to tell that to all the dentists out there. So, this was just amazing.
Let's go and see if there's others that we really want to talk about. This is actually a very nice one.
Yeah, this is Calgary, and this is one of our clients who has multiple offices with us, and he was really struggling over here, and you can clearly see why. Like he had no presence or no rankings whatsoever. I mean, he was even, lacking any presence in immediate vicinity as well. But with about a year of work, we completely transformed it, and you can see that there is a lot of dense population over here as well. So it's not just U.S. That we dominate. It's also Canada that we are dominating. We're working with a lot of practices in Canada as well.
Great. I think you've got one more, and then we can get into some of the domination stuff, which I really like.
Yeah, and we've got dental implants. And then again, this is California. This is Thousand Oaks. And again, dental implants, I mean, this is a very important keyword, a very high ticket price keyword. The client was found nowhere, and there was a lot of competition around this because there were a lot of periodontists as well as a lot of GBPs which had dental implants as their primary category, as well as they use dental implants in their naming convention. But with our SEO, with about 7 months of efforts, we turned it around, and yeah, we've got a lot of implant cases being driven to this office now.
And dental implants is probably the second biggest search after like dentist on its own. Like the generic searching for dentist is the top one, but then dental implants is massive. I mean, the demand is very, very high. Obviously, the cost of a dental implant is much higher than the cost of just somebody coming and finding a dentist and getting cleaning or getting a few fillings fixed. But so it's very valuable and also just huge. I mean, there's just so many people. And as one of my dentists said to me, he said, whenever we get a dental implant patient in, it is not just the dental implant, right? If there's a dental implant to be done, it's not because one tooth was abused and all the other were taken care of, perfectly. It's that the mouth itself is inherently flawed, and there may be one tooth missing, there may be multiple, but there's a lot of things that need help. There's root canals, there's crowns, there's just there's a treasure trove, right? I think he talked about when you get somebody in who wants dental implants. Yeah, so that's great. That's super powerful.
Right. And I remember this incident where one of our dentists from Mobile, Alabama, was extremely happy. He emailed right away as soon as he closed that dental implants case. And he was like, I just closed a $34,000 implants case through SEO. Congratulations, guys. And those are the kind of emails, that drive us and that really motivate us and that gives all the credibility to our work. That we're actually helping dentists getting more ROI with our SEO. So yeah, it was really worth it. So let's take a look at some of our most impressive search grid scans. And I think David is going to talk more about it because yeah, he loves these scans.
I just like America's a big place and people drive really far. So sometimes we get stuck in very urban environments where even, dominating in 1 square mile is a massive success. And then sometimes we get more rural areas and we're able to just kind of cover a massive amount of ground. And because of that, a massive amount of population, this is a great example. Again, you're in California, so you're in the zone where dental veneers really matter. And this is Fresno going out 130 miles by 130 miles. I can't do that math. What is that? 16,900 miles square?
69,000 square miles. I think 169,000 square miles. That's what it.
169,000. Okay, wow. That seems large. So,
Yeah.
and you can see where people drop off as well. The little red areas are are little towns. I think, maybe it's Modesto down in the bottom there, or maybe Modesto is up north. I'm not from California, so I don't really know. But there are some urban areas where we take some hits, but everywhere outside of those urban areas, we're totally dominant. And I think this is quite a rural community, like lots of farms, and like they're growing a lot of stuff there in that valley. So you're picking up just everybody from miles and miles around. It's really great.
Right. And then we've got another one if you're not impressed.
Right. And this is around Calgary, I presume, or is this in the middle of? Is Calgary to the north, and we're kind of just dominating the tundra? There's a lot of open space in Canada.
Right, right,
Um, so, again, we can be very dominant when we have the right geography, and we can beat up on all of our competition for, again, 130,000 square miles of domination.
right.
That's great.
And this one's right in your neighborhood, I believe.
Yeah, so that's a massive area around Oviedo, which is really right next to Orlando. So that's a very strong amount of success, and you can see in the bottom left corner, so the southeastern corner of that box, we're starting to hit some competition in Orlando, but we're basically dominating all the way out, essentially to the Atlantic, right? We're going all the way to the coast. I would actually be interested if we made it even further. Will those twos continue all the way through to the coast on the eastern side? Um,
Right,
that would be interesting to see, because I'm sure that as you increase it, we'll have like a lot of interference from Orlando. But again, you don't have to get people from Orlando if you're on that side of Orlando. If you're on the eastern side, maybe you pull from the very wealthy territories along the coast, and those people are certainly willing to drive for results.
right. And then we've got another one that's Rockledge, Florida, and this one's for all on four dental implants.
Right, and this is right near Cape Canaveral. We should make every effort to try to grab Cape Canaveral, because I think there's a few NASA people there, and probably some SpaceX people as well that might need help. So there's certainly. I mean, again, this is Florida's Space Coast, so again, pretty well heeled, especially on the actual coast. Um, so this is great targeting over a massive area.
Right, and this is the affluent community over here and then over here. And you
Yeah.
can see that, we've got ones and twos and three mostly around here. So which actually needs targeting, and we're doing great here. Um, so yeah, now we should switch to local pack presence. And this one's huge. I mean, it's one of our biggest accomplishments till date, because this is Beverly Hills that we're talking about, and I think
Yeah.
David might have a word or two about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, if LA is hard for anything to do with cosmetics, Beverly Hills is even harder within that LA area. It's the most competitive place for dentists, especially for cosmetics. So the nice thing here is we're actually beating out Kevin Sands, who's probably one of the most famous dentists in the country. So we're actually beating him out. We're just below somebody else, but actually we have the most reviews of all three, and a 4.9, which, by the way, 4.9 ranks as the top result for consumers that they believe, right? When they see a 5, they go like, there's no way it's 5. They just don't believe it. They think something's rigged. They paid Google. You actually can't pay them, and it's not rigged. But 4.9 is what people believe. So you're 4.9. You've got the highest number. You're number 2. It's great. We also have teeth whitening in the quote there as well, which is nice. Whereas I'm not even sure why the top one is in the top position at that point, because it doesn't even have a teeth whitening quote. Maybe the time, again, opens 7 a.m. Maybe you ran this very early, and so it was giving you the one that opens the earliest. I don't know.
Right.
I would run this like during the day when they're all open and see if we get the same results. We might end up at number 1 at some points in the day.
Just maybe, just maybe. But this
Yeah.
is again a very big accomplishment, nevertheless, because Kevin Sands. If anyone knows Beverly Hills, they know Kevin Sands. So beating him for a position on a cosmetic procedure is just like, a very, very big achievement.
Yeah. Yeah.
SEOs probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And by
Uh,
the way, and teeth whitening as well, it's worth saying that teeth whitening often will upgrade to veneers. So people will come for teeth whitening. It's not always possible to whiten. It's not always, even if you can whiten teeth, maybe they don't get to the right shade. And then as they're talking to you, it becomes clear that maybe shape is also an issue. And then they jump, the only place to go after that is veneers. So it's
right.
it's a very good keyword to have position for. And when we showed this to the client was like, I want to see that on my site. So they did the search themselves, and then they were like, I was like, I wanted to reach through the computer and lift their chin a little bit. Like their chin definitely hit the desk. So yeah, that was pretty great.
Right, right. Okay, we've got another one. And this is also very, very good because this client of ours was really struggling with the reviews, and I got to give it to the client as well because they really worked a lot towards building their reputation. And let me tell you that reviews and the frequency of reviews, to be precise, is really the number one ranking factor for GBP once you're done with your GBP optimization. So if your reviews are not coming in thick and fast, it's like, your latest review was about 2 years old. Google is going to understand that you are no more in action, right? And you are not doing a good job anymore. So all that reputation was back in the day. You are not doing a good job right now. Why keep you at the same position? So the reputation is really something that every dental practice needs to take very, very seriously. And Ammons right here, the Camden location, really did a terrific job in improving their reputation. And along with our SEO efforts, they are right now ranking 3rd for this immense
Yeah.
keyword, which is dentist.
And we should at some point do a podcast just on reviews and how to get reviews. I know there's a lot of automation that helps you get reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I I am pretty convinced that motivating your front desk and getting them involved not only gets you better reviews and stops you getting some negative reviews, but actually can help you get the right keywords in those reviews, because that's actually very important as well. We should do a whole section on reviews. It's so easy when people are actually standing there in your office and you can just look at them and see if they're happy or sad. If happy, ask for review. If sad or grabbing the side of their face, do not ask for review, right? It's very simple logic as to whether you ask them or not.
Right.
And for a lot of people, it's tricky just using the technology. So they need some help. So if the front desk is able to help them, it's a total slam dunk. I mean, you get almost no negatives, and you pick up just 5 stars, which is which is fantastic.
Right. And yeah, we've got Aberdeen. We didn't see a number one before, but now we've got one. And look at their number of reviews. We were just talking about reviews, but a 5-star and 1,400 reviews, averaging 5 stars. So that's incredible
Yeah.
from
And
this
that
client of ours.
that quote is fantastic as well. I couldn't ask for a better one. My Invisalign treatment took only 4 months, and I had incredible results. That's what everybody wants. I mean, unfortunately for most people, it's going to be 18 months, right? That's kind of the standard. But this person got it in 4 months. Okay, great. Like we didn't say we guarantee 4 months. This person said 4 months. Everybody's going to call and say, "Can I get it in just 4 months as well?" And the answer is, come in, we'll meet you. And then once that happens, we're beginning the sales process. So it's kind of a beautiful positioning. And you're right, like 5 stars and 1.4K, it's like, it's crazy.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we've got Invisalign Toronto. And this is one of the oldest clients that we have had. And, Dental Arts at Front is another location, which is at 350 Front
Street. Yeah. Yeah, Invisalign Toronto this is a client that we've had for many years. I mean, maybe 10 years, maybe more. And we've had these positions. We've had 2 locations that they have. They have 1 location in Lawrence and 1 downtown on Front Street. And both of them get ranked inside the top 3. Sometimes they're 1 and 2, sometimes they're 2 and 3, sometimes they're 1 and 3. But we usually have 2 in that top area. So it's extremely powerful because obviously they don't care which office you go to, and having multiple offices just gives you a chance in the same city. It just gives you a chance to be there twice, legitimately. They legitimately have 2 offices. If they want to buy a third, maybe we can sew up the whole top 3 and just do a shutout of everybody else. That would be great.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's almost like that becomes the business idea, right? It's like, let's buy another one so we can dominate. 3s are the number now. 3 is the magic number, because that means total domination, and you're just stopping everybody else from breathing, basically, in SEO.
Right. Okay. Then we've got Ammons. I think we've already done this one.
Yeah, I think we did this one.
Yeah. And then we have this client, Angel Family Dentistry. We onboarded this client about a couple of months ago. And sometimes the results come really thick and fast. Like they could be, they could only take about 2 months or 3 months, but it depends upon, your competition. It also depends upon your existing number of reviews and how you're working on your reputation yourself and how your previous SEO did. So all of those factors combined, lays a foundation that we pick up from. And, in this case, I think, we only took about 2 months of time and helped him rank on multiple keywords. But this one, Invisalign Columbia Heights, we got him to the first spot. And don't get me wrong, but this is map pack results, or this is local pack results. So this is citywide results. This is not a search grid scan, ladies and gentlemen. This is a local map pack result. So if you're searching anywhere in Minneapolis, MN, looking for this keyword that is Invisalign Columbia Heights, you're going to find Angel Family Dentistry at the first spot.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
Next up, we've got Veneers Dentist. I think we have talked about it already, that veneers in LA is a big thing, and then having number 1 spot for veneers is a big deal. And yeah, our client is right there on the first spot.
Okay.
This is Smile Makeover as a keyword. And again, we're in the top 3. We have got our client at the 3rd place. Okay, that's it for map pack,
Right.
local map pack.
And now national rankings. The first thing I have to ask about national rankings is if you're a local business, why do you care about national rankings? Isn't that like a false flag?
No, it is actually not. When you hold national rankings for a keyword, and let's say which is a part of your procedure, then Google understands that you hold a lot of authority around that particular procedure. And because of that, it really uplifts your local authority, your local position around that particular procedure. So
Mm,
if we have national rankings, let's say around implants, if we've got national rankings around teeth whitening, it's also going to improve your positions on those respective keywords. So this is around tooth extraction. So, you've got a blog that actually ranks number one for, a topic around tooth extraction, but it's going to do wonders for your rankings around tooth extraction locally.
mm,
And it's also going to drive you some traffic, which is going to build some authority for your domain. So it's really positive in all the ways.
right.
Next up, this is veneers. This is around veneers. Again, you're going to build authority around veneers locally. Plus, you're going to get traffic from here. Plus, you can just show your friends around that you're ranking number one. So
Yeah.
uh, next up is about tooth abscess, which of course, is very painful. But then, this is also related to general dentistry and emergency dentistry. So ranking number one for this. Um, Next up, 399 dental implants.
Hmm.
Well, you do not want to rank for such a keyword because nobody offers 399 dental implants. But we've got clickbaits on Instagram, so why not on Google? So we've got a clickbait article that actually educates about this particular clinic's dental implants procedure and its pricing, as
Right.
well as why the $399 dental implants is not a safe option for one to procure, because anything cheap isn't good, right? So
Right.
okay, can you get a bone graft without implant? So again, we're ranking number one with our
And the
client.
and the
Yeah.
way I'm interested, the way that you know that you want to write a blog on these topics is you actually check out what people are searching for. So you're not writing the blog blind and just going, "Hey, maybe people are asking about bone grafts without implants." You know they are because you can see the volume, right? The volume of searches.
Right. There's volume of searches, plus, there are questions and there are um, intent clusters, which you can find on any keyword planner tool like SEMrush. I happen to use SEMrush. And these kind of questions are for a patient who's probably looking to get an implant done, right? Um,
Yeah.
Sorry, did I say that right?
Yeah, they're probably looking to get an implant done um and they just want to know if they can do the bone graft separately from the implant, which is usually not a problem.
Right. So, these kind of questions help reassure the tentative prospect to go for an implant, and anyone who's ranking at the very top actually gets an edge because that might be the dental practice that they want to go for their implant. So that's how it works.
Right. Okay, great. Let's jump to the organic SERP rankings because I actually am
Sure.
very interested in this because we don't focus on this a lot ourselves, right? But I'm interested to know what you're going to say about it.
Right. I actually did a study because we work with a system where we track everything We track all the leads that come in via form, via calls, and we also separate them as new patients and existing patients. So a study that I did led me to conclude that about 40% of patients that come in are through organic SERP rankings. And 60% of patients that come in on average are through Google My Business. And with that taken into consideration, organic SERP rankings are still relevant and they still need to be focused upon by all the SEO experts out there. So I'd just like to show some of the examples.
Right.
So this is for a keyword dentist, and we've got the third position over here. That's the
Well, and you also
Macomb
have
Dental
you
Group.
have the first position in the maps, and then what we're calling organic SERPs is the old style, like, you know, if people remember before maps, there was no map at one point, and all you had was just a long list of results. So that's what we're
Right.
calling the organic SERPs. SERPs is short for search engine result pages, right? That
That's
S is
correct. That's
just,
correct.
yeah.
And next up, we've got Palisades. And unlike the last example, we've got them ranking in the local map pack as well as number one over here on the SERP position. So
And having
that's
both of those, are you going to get more? You're going to get more clicks if you have both. I mean, it would
that
seem to
actually,
me.
yeah, that actually builds more trust because, you know, anyone sees you first on Google Map Pack and they also see you first on SERP actually has this feeling, this trust factor come in that, yes, they are number one dentist in this town, in the city. So, you know, that really drives more
The
patients.
the
So
only the only place that's left is a pay-per-click listing, right? If we did Google Ads as well, we could have an ad. They could have the places listing, and then they could be number one in the organic SERPs as well. That would be like that would be the three positions in one. Again, like dominating on the page is really what we kind of dream about, where it's almost like it's unavoidable. Like, why would you, why would you go anywhere else? Like,
and that also makes me think for ones that are not ranking on MapPack but are actually ranking on SERP should consider ads for them to like capture more real estate on the search result page, right? Because then, of course, that trust factor would come in. We had that
yeah,
previous example where they ranked on the SERP position but did not rank on the MapPack. They should probably consider ads. That would give a huge boost in the conversions. So
yeah. It's very interesting as well that you have a picture of the dentist, and I know that it is a female dentist, and it's clear that she's female from the picture. It's hard to there's no place in there to say, oh, gender of the provider is male or female. You can't. There's no place to do that, and I don't think they have a plan to make that happen. But it is important. It's an important factor because it's an attractive factor for a lot of people. For some people, it might not be an attractive factor, but it's the reality. There is a female dentist in charge of this location. So if you're looking for a female dentist, great. If you're not, maybe that's a reason that you actually don't click. But that's a legitimate reason. Like we can't change it as marketers and say, well, maybe there will be a locum in place and he'll be male. Like this is who you'll see, right? There are
right.
some kind of realities that we just have to make clear to people so it can help them make a decision. And certainly the people that come are very unlikely if they come from this to go, what? It's a woman dentist, but I wanted a man. Like we're being very straightforward about it
Yeah,
in a
but I
way
think
that's
she's doing.
subtle.
Yeah, but I think she's doing great. Again, 1,000 reviews, averaging 4.9 is just awesome.
Yeah, yeah, kind of unbeatable.
Yeah. Next up, we've got a position at number three. This is one of our clients. We don't have map pack results, surprisingly, for this. That's a bit odd.
Yeah, that is odd, especially since
Anyways,
it's dentist and Google automatically understands you probably want to go see one near you.
Right, right. Yeah, that's odd. Yeah, sometimes Google does that. Well, maybe
Yeah.
it was
On
one
the
of
on
those
the
times.
the next example is more explainable, right?
Right.
Because all on
We've
four
got,
dental implants does not always bring up the map pack because Google thinks that often people are doing research. Um, but still, it actually brings up a local result first. You remember, like right at the beginning of this podcast, I showed that old screen where I think it was like perio.org was the first one. It used to be
right.
that nationally ranked companies always dominated on a generic procedure like search, but now it's changed, and they're very often they do put local at the top in preference over even the biggest players. Like All on Four is a brand from Nobel Biocare, so you would expect that maybe Nobel Biocare would be the first link, but because we're searching in a particular location, it's kind of defaulted um, to our client, which is great.
Right. In the first half of the last decade, Google has made those changes where, Google has clearly supported local businesses. And, this is just an example where, this is an informational keyword and we're expecting websites like Wikipedia or Pure.org, just like, David said, to rank on the first spot. But, instead we have a local business showing up. And the beauty is that it's one of our clients. So, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Next up, another such keyword, full mouth dental implants, and this is Beverly Hills again. And this is the AI overview. Then we've got sponsored results, and then we have got the organic results, and we've got our client ranking as number one.
great.
So again, not an easy feat to
Okay,
achieve, but yeah.
and let's jump to anything else. Can we do something quickly on AI? Can we just jump to the AI section and talk about it? I'll even ask you a question to start off with. So you've called this section AI optimizations, and you have not called it AI kills SEO, right? Which I see a lot out there. I see a lot of people saying, you're still doing SEO, AI's crushing SEO. And the reality is it's about adding AI to the stack of SEO, right? It's not about AI kicking SEO to the curb.
Right. And the reason why I've not called it as, what did he say? Sorry, David.
Yeah, no, so you could have called it AEO or GEO, right? You could have said, no, it's a totally different world. You've called it AI optimizations because I think that AI sits on top of existing SEO. It's not that SEO is gone. Forget all your SEO, all the work you did in the last 20 years, totally pointless. Scrap websites. It's all AI now. No, AI sits on top of SEO and also demands some other requirements from websites in order to use them in the AI calculation. But it's really about stretching SEO in another direction rather than saying SEO is done. Now it's all AEO, right? Answer engine optimization, because these AI tools are answer engines instead of search engines. Instead of getting a list of a million pages that you could go to and get more information from, it synthesizes them and just says, you should go see, you know, Dr. Smith, right? He's the best. And that's what everybody wants to be in for. Everybody wants to be in there as a recommendation, as an answer to the question, which dentist should I pick?
Right. And there's an important part here why I named it so is because most of the answer engines that are out there, the LLMs like ChatGPT or Gemini that we're using right now, we don't use it for transactional purposes yet. Although there is an intense movement out there in order to enable it, but most of our LLM queries are to research things or to find any specific piece of information that actually would take more time for us or to get tasks done. So it's still not in a phase where you would use it to uh, look for maybe a dentist nearby. But yeah, there are a very few searches that are happening, and you want to be ready because that time is really close by. So maybe in a year or two, things could change because you have seen that in the last 6 months how fast the LLMs have taken over. And everybody is on red alert. Google is on red alert. They have been trying to work on their AI front so aggressively because they sense danger. So it's not there yet, but you want to keep your websites ready on that front. And this is an example where we're trying to work with our clients to rank on some of the keywords that we're expecting are being searched on AI.
Right. And of course, we do not have access to what is being searched on AI in the same way that we do with Google, where Google basically gives us access to know what are the most searched terms. There's Google Trends to show you what's exploding in terms of topic areas.
And then there are reliable third-party tools like, SEMrush, Ahrefs, which could give you an idea about, search volume of keywords. Even Uber Suggest by Neil Patel that tells about, how many searches are being made on a monthly basis, but nothing of that sort for,
Right.
popular LLMs like Perplexity or ChatGPT or Gemini.
And my sense is that people who use ChatGPT start off using ChatGPT in the same way they got used to using Google, which is, maybe they change the search to a question. So instead of saying dentist near me and getting a long list and they have to figure it out themselves, they go, I'm looking for a dentist near me. What do you recommend? Right? Which is the best one? Right? Something like that, like some kind of terminology that puts, help me choose in there. And they might say specifics. They might say it has to be the one closest to me. They might want to say has the best reviews. I want to say has been practicing for at least 20 years. Like they might have different criteria, but essentially they're saying, help me find a dentist near me, right? And recommend one, right? They're looking to get the answer as if this was, an executive assistant that was going to go do the Googling and find things out. So that's my feeling as to how people use it. But there's no definitive answer to that yet.
Right. So this is a report right here, which has been pulled for Google AI search results, which you can see over here. And then these are the keywords. This is one of our clients. And then these are the keywords for which they happen to be mentioned these many times for all of these keywords. And we're gaining more links on these keywords every month as we happen to update these reports on a weekly basis. So we happen to see if the mentions have increased or the links have increased. So you can see the comparison between these two.
So
Um,
how are you deciding on the prompts on the left? It looks like you basically agree with what I'm saying, which is, people are just turning searches into questions, right?
Right, and these are mostly conversational in nature. So, you see a keyword like, what are the best rated dentists in 84124? So,
Yeah.
and then suggest the best dentists for dental implants near 84124. So
And
right now we have started to work around, their zip code, and then slowly we're going to take up some more keywords.
and people will start out like they do with Google as well. They start out quite high up in the funnel. So they'll say things like, find me a dentist near 84124. And then Google will say, well, here's some dentists near you. And then it will usually help to prompt. It will ask you questions. Would you like me to find dentists with particularly good reviews? Do you want me to find dentists who've been practicing for a certain amount of time? It will start to suggest things that it thinks you might want. And then the follow-up becomes really important, because if they follow up again, it means they're getting deeper down into the funnel and they're getting closer to coming in and making a commitment. So that's kind of totally a fascinating thing about ChatGPT, is it actually prompts you as to what your next question should be. I'm actually waiting for them to make it slightly easier, because, right now they'll say to any question, they'll say, hey, I could do, maybe you want me to do one of the next 3 things. And there's actually no easy way to just click on it and say, yeah, this one, right? I want to just click and be like, yeah, number 2. Sometimes I actually write that in, like I'll go like, #2, right? And it gets it, right? It knows that I'm just trying to speed up the process, but often it makes me like re-enter, like in a wordy way, yeah, no, I want the one that has the best reviews, right? It's kind of wordy. It's okay if you're just talking to AI, but I think when you're typing, I need something a little bit more intuitive.
Right. And AI is really smart. Like, it has very sensible reasoning. And when you're like diving deep into a topic, let's say, you are exploring any cons of dental implants. You're looking for recovery after dental implants. You're looking for any mishap that could happen with dental implants. So when you are diving deep into a subject, ultimately, you are going to procure, or you are looking for that particular procedure or service. So AI ultimately understands that, you might be looking for a recommendation for a dentist or for a service provider for the service that, you're diving deep into. And that's when, it pops up a question like, would you like me to look for one of the best dentists for getting dental implants done? Or, would you like me to find a periodontists in your area or something like that? So these AI is very smart, and it understands your searches, and it can really be improvising with the searches that you're, or the questions that you're throwing their way.
Yeah. And maybe you have a few examples you can just show me. I think you have a couple coming up.
Yep. So we ranked this one, suggest the best dentist for veneers in Coral Gables, Florida, and then we have our client at the first position.
Right.
Um, and then what are the most affordable dentists in Somerville? Again, we've got our client at the first position. Who should I go for implants in Garner, North Carolina? We've got our client in the second position. And I really love this map. I mean, but it's very odd. Sometimes I would see this for some queries, but sometimes I wouldn't see it. And the reviews part here is actually pulled from maybe Bing, I believe, and not Google.
Yeah,
And
because Perplexity, I think, has a connection to Microsoft.
right.
I never use Perplexity myself, but I see that it's kind of clearly down the rankings. Like ChatGPT as a standalone is the king, but really
Mhm.
Gemini is it just has so much volume because everything
Google.
goes through Google. Yeah, it's Google's product. Um,
Right. And Nana Banana is like, making people go bananas. So, it's really popular nowadays.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
And next up, we've got Meta. And even on Meta, we've got our client on the first position for best emergency dentist.
right.
Um, then for the best orthodontist, this is Google AI mode. And then we've got our
And
client over here.
and
Yep.
Google AI mode is different from Gemini. Do they run it differently, or is it essentially the same results? Because they're both
No,
Google
it's
products.
Yeah, they're both Google products, but it behaves differently. So you might get a different result on Gemini versus what you're going to get on Google AI mode.
Right. I guess it's a
So
little bit like Google Maps versus Waze. It's like they're both owned by Google, but you get slightly different results.
yeah, and even results for, a particular keyword on a typical Google search results page versus Google AI mode could be different, and versus Gemini could be different. So all of the three are Google products, but for the same keyword, you can have very different results. So
Right.
that's very strange by Google, but yeah, it is how it is. And I think, we're in a phase of evolution, but I think it's going to straighten it out.
Yeah. Great.
That's it for this episode of the Dental Marketing Drill. If this episode helped, follow the show, share it with a practice owner who's trying to grow, or leave a review. It helps more dentists find conversations like this. This podcast is powered by web marketing for dentists.